July 17, 1996, John F. Kennedy International Airport, New York. A massive commercial aircraft takes off for Paris. There are 230 people on board. The summer evening is clear, and the engines are operating flawlessly. At 8:31 p.m., the aircraft reaches an altitude of 13,700 feet. The Boston Air Traffic Controller clears the crew to climb to 15,000 feet. The captain acknowledges the instruction calmly. 12 seconds later, the radar blip disappears. There is no distress call. There is no mechanical warning sent to the ground. A massive fireball illuminates the dark sky off the coast of Long Island. A giant of the skies shatters into pieces and falls into the Atlantic Ocean. The initial assumption is a catastrophic structural failure. The investigators thought it was an engineering flaw. Hundreds of witnesses on the beach saw something completely different. More than 700 people were enjoying the summer evening on the beaches of Long Island. When federal agents began interviewing them, a chilling pattern emerged. Dozens of independent witnesses, separated by miles of coastline, reported the exact same visual sequence. They saw a streak of light resembling a bright flare traveling rapidly upward from the ocean surface. The glowing object zigzagged through the sky and intersected with the aircraft. Immediately after the impact, a massive explosion tore the plane apart. The public and the media reached a terrifying conclusion. The nation had suffered a domestic terrorist attack, or a military exercise had gone horribly wrong. Federal authorities took total control of the investigation. The ocean floor was officially declared a crime scene. Navy divers were sent to the bottom of the Atlantic to find the weapon. What they found only deepened the mystery. The recovery operation was unprecedented in aviation history. Specialized divers spent 10 months underwater, retrieving over 95% of the shattered aircraft. The pieces were transported to a massive hangar in New York. Investigators began rebuilding the airplane on a giant steel frame, like a macabre three-dimensional puzzle. Every piece of twisted metal was examined under microscopes for shrapnel or chemical signatures of a warhead. During the chemical analysis, authorities found exactly what they feared. Traces of explosive residue, specifically PETN and RDX, were detected on several passenger seats. The missile theory suddenly had physical evidence. The nation demanded answers. The authorities were ready to declare a criminal act. Then, engineering safety experts looked at the fuel system. The engineering experts focused their attention on a massive cavity located directly under the passenger cabin, the center wing fuel tank. Because the flight was headed to Europe, this specific tank was virtually empty, holding only a tiny fraction of jet fuel. The air conditioning units located directly beneath the tank had been running on the hot tarmac in New York for hours. The heat transferred upward. The empty tank was acting as an oven, baking the remaining fuel until it turned into a highly volatile explosive vapor. By examining the bending patterns of the metal, engineers proved that the explosion did not come from outside the aircraft. The blast doors blew outward, not inward. A weapon did not strike the plane. The airplane destroyed itself from the inside out. The vapor was perfectly primed for an explosion. It just needed a single spark. The aircraft was 25 years old. Miles of electrical wiring ran through its structure. Investigators discovered that old wiring outside the fuel tank had severely degraded insulation. A short circuit sent a sudden high-voltage spike into the low-voltage wires connected to the fuel quantity indicator inside the center tank. A microscopic spark ignited the heated vapor. The resulting explosion decapitated the aircraft. The nose and the cockpit broke off entirely and fell into the ocean. Here is the detail that explains the eyewitness accounts. Without the heavy nose section, the burning, headless fuselage pitched violently upward, climbing thousands of feet into the dark sky before losing momentum. The streak of light that hundreds of people saw going up was not a missile. It was the burning remains of the aircraft itself. The physics explained the disaster perfectly, but the human mind refused to accept it. Federal agents closed the criminal investigation. They explained the explosive residue found on the seats as contamination from a bomb-sniffing dog training exercise conducted on that exact plane weeks before the crash. Safety authorities published the final report, changing global aviation rules forever. Today, commercial aircraft use nitrogen systems to displace oxygen in fuel tanks, making them completely inert. But for many, the official explanation is a perfectly engineered lie. Independent investigators, former pilots, and dozens of eyewitnesses maintain their original stance. They argue that a headless aircraft cannot climb thousands of feet in the air. They believe the short circuit theory is a convenient cover for a friendly fire incident involving a military test. The official case is closed, but the cultural wound remains open. The disaster forced a choice between raw human perception and cold engineering data. This disaster stands as the most extensive, complex, and expensive aviation investigation in history. It proved that mechanical systems can fail in ways engineers never anticipated, but it also proves something profound about human psychology. We trust our own eyes more than we trust a laboratory analysis. When a tragedy is too massive to comprehend, a simple mechanical failure feels inadequate. We search for villains, cover-ups, and conspiracies because they give the chaos a sense of purpose. If you were standing on that beach on a summer night and you clearly saw a streak of light shoot upward and destroy a commercial jet, would a government engineering report be enough to change your mind? Do you trust your own eyes or do you trust the science? Leave your comment below.